Herbie Hancock has won 3 Grammys, 2 MTV Awards, and 1 Oscar. The prolific and multi-talented jazz composer and keyboardist has recorded over 50 albums of his own and played on over 150 other records. He's played with jazz legends like Miles Davis, who called him the heir to Thelonious Monk. He's also made hit dance records like the 1983 Rocket. He's in New York to play Carnegie Hall on April 6th in celebration of the 50th anniversary of Verve Records, and I'm pleased to have him here. Welcome.
Thank you very much.
You know, when you read the people who have been with the Verve Records, which we want to talk about in the beginning before we talk about you, it is an extraordinary list of artists. And, I mean, it includes almost, it's a who's who of the jazz world.
I was actually surprised myself to see how many people that have been involved with that label over that 50 years. It is extraordinary.
And what's this celebrate? Well, listen to something. I mean, it just goes on and on and on. I mean, you know, you and I mean, on and on and on.
Yeah, I'm actually a newcomer to the label.
The new. But Louis Armstrong, people like that, we're all, So what are you doing here? What's this celebration of Verve Records about at Carnegie Hall?
Well, first of all, it's 50 years old.
Yeah, that's a reason to celebrate.
Yeah, I think so. So it makes it one of the oldest jazz labels.
Yeah.
And Norman Granz started it. And what I was told was that Verve started as a label that he made for Ella Fitzgerald. Yeah. That Norman Granz said,
Ella needs a label.
Right. This is what I heard. See, I don't know if that's.
How are jazz albums selling today? I mean, are they? Is percentage of the market any different? No, but you know what I mean. I mean, do jazz artists have a reason to say, well, wait a minute, you know, there's no appetite for, there's no increase in the appetite for our work?
Some things sell better than others. Some things some records, for example, it's incredible. I think that Verve records are probably doing better than they had done in the past. They have a very strong, I guess, marketing force, and the records are the great records that are coming out.
Who's going to be at Carnegie Hall with you?
Well, Joe Henderson is there, a double Grammy winner this year, and he also won last year. So this is actually his 3rd Grammy.
Who else?
He's got a great sound.
Yeah.
There's Abbey Lincoln. You know, Pat Metheny is joining, and Bruce Hornsby, a lot of people. Vanessa Williams is actually co-host along with me. Yeah, we got to do that thing.
It's a hot ticket.
Yeah, it's going to be fun. So I'll take your job for that.
All right. All right. What's the? Well, you got started pretty young, didn't you?
Professionally, when I was 20.
Yeah,
but I started playing piano when I was 7.
The love of music, yeah, when you were the love of music.
7.
Yeah. Who influenced you?
In the beginning, it was Mozart, you know, because I played classical music before I started with jazz.
Yeah.
You know, so I was listening to both classical music and rhythm and blues. It's a long time ago, back in the 40s.
And what influenced choice of instrument?
Oh, my best friend had a piano. When I was 6, he was 7. And I would go up to his house every day and just kind of bang on his piano and ask him, you know, what's this, what's that? And what was your lesson for the day, you know? And then my mother began to notice I had some interest in it. So on my 7th birthday, a piano arrived in my house.
When did you played with Miles?
Right.
Yeah. And you were scared to death. Yeah?
I was.
Miles would do that to you.
You know what? I never even dreamed that I would ever play with Miles Davis. I had dreams of playing with other performers. Miles was beyond my wildest dreams.
Because you thought he was in another zone?
Exactly. It was just a level that I just was higher than anything I could hope to aspire for as a kid, you know. And when I got the opportunity to play with him, it was just
How'd you get the opportunity?
Fantastic. Well, first of all, he had heard me before. He told me one day, this particular time that he heard me, he said, "Nice touch."
Yeah.
And he liked my touch. And anyway, he had disbanded his previous band and wanted to put together another group. And he asked a lot of people, who should he get? And evidently a lot of musicians said that he should get me to play piano. And I heard him say, one of the stories, I think it was Jackie McLean, you know, alto saxophonist, and Miles asked him who he should get. Herbie Hancock. So Miles said, Herbie can't play.
Here's what he thought. Yeah.
Herbie can't play. Right. And so Jackie McLean said, well, you asked me who I think you should get, and that's who you should get.
There was a time in which, I mean, I heard this wonderful story that you were sort of off doing your own. I mean, you thought you were violating every rule, and that Miles would come down on you, you know, and just say, "What in the world are you doing?" And he comes over and says, "I liked it. Why haven't you been doing that before?" Right?
Yeah, I remember. I had been working with him only maybe 2 or 3 months, and I was playing. I didn't want to get in the way of the beauty that comes out of his horn, and so I guess I was playing a little too timid. And
you didn't want to cut, you know. Go ahead.
Yeah, I just wanted to kind of stay out of the way, you know. But this one particular day, I couldn't take restraining myself any longer, and I just threw caution to the wind, and I just played. And I thought I might get fired after that. And he comes off the stage and says, "Why didn't you play like that before?" And I looked at him. I was shocked. Yeah. So from that point on, I just played and let it all come out.
I've got this album I've had about a year, I think, about a year, with Quincy and Miles. It was about the last thing he did in Montreal, right? And I think it's doing reasonably well. It was sold reasonably well. And it was the first time that Quincy had ever been able to get, I think, Miles to go back and play some of the early stuff, Kind of Blue, I guess, and some other things like that. Why was it that he turned away from those things? Well, just he wanted to be somewhere else, and he always wanted to be looking forward?
This is what Miles always said, that he, you know, always wanted to look forward, and he always wanted to be on the kind of the cutting edge of whatever may be happening in music. Yeah. You know, but I was kind of curious myself as to why I won't say he went back, but that he actually did decide to do that concert and that album in Montreux, right? Which was to play some of the music that he had played before in a style that he had once played. And what I read was that he had a dream of Gil Evans, who had arranged that music originally in the late 50s, 60s, and so forth. And that Gil told him to go ahead and do it.
So that's why he did it. Yeah. I always assumed Quincy must have had something to do with it, but...
Well, Quincy, I'm sure, asked him. But it was that dream.
Why did he do it at that time?
Yeah. It was
you also are big on electronic stuff. You love it. Yeah. In fact, in college, you once thought about engineering or studied engineering for a while, didn't you?
Right.
I mean, you like science.
Ever since I was a kid. I used to tear apart watches and put them back together. Of course, they would never work after I did it. But I was always curious about things.
And if someone would say that's a difference, I mean, that jazz is about improvisation and all these other things, and it doesn't seem the same kind of mind that want to take apart a watch and put it back together, you would say what?
Well, actually, they're not that far apart.
Because that's what you're doing in the music, taking it apart and...
Yeah, there is a part of it that has some logic and some area of analysis and of course there's decision making, but a lot of it is I guess you'd say right brain, you know, of course spontaneous, and on a deeper level than just pure kind of logic that we're used to.
But the stronger base, the stronger foundation, the more you know about music, the more you can be free.
That's my feeling.
Yeah.
That's my feeling. You know, and I've pretty much based my life on that kind of thing. What I never really dreamed was that we could ever be that there would ever be a time when I could put those two pursuits that I really love together, science and music, and that happened once synthesizers were born.
And where is it all going, and what's on the cutting edge of what's happening? I mean, I know you've written and talked about the electronic highway and the information highway, and how, what's the potential of that for music?
Well, first of all, interactivity is going to be very, very big. I think there's going to be a period when people are going to have to be kind of spoon-fed it and really taught how to use these new tools that we're going to have. You know, even television is going to be very different.
Yeah, no television, but I mean, I'm trying to understand music, interactivity.
Right, but music is involved with all of that. Yeah. You know, there's music for TV shows, there's music for movies, there's music for games, there's also interactive records, too, that are already starting to come on the scene. You know, people like Peter Gabriel has a record.
Sure, I know. He loves everything about computers and everything about interactivity. And And so do you. I mean, when I read about you and your interest in this, I thought about Peter Gabriel, who's been been there for a while. When you look, how will it change your music? What potential does it offer you as an artist?
Well, actually, it's not my concern so much about the potential that it offers me. Although I will tell you one thing, there's a flexibility that the technology can allow now that was never possible before.
Yeah.
I don't have to make hard and firm decisions right in the beginning when I'm putting a piece of music together. I can have several choices, and later on down the line, I can decide what I want. And at the same time, keep everything that I had in case I change my mind. But one thing that affords me is the ability to give choices to the consumer.
That's exactly, well, not only that, I would think that choices to the consumer, but also the things that you can mix yourself. I mean, if you are a record arranger,
Right.
I mean, boy, the world is there for you now, isn't it?
Exactly.
Yeah. It's great to see you. Much success at Carnegie Hall. Come back anytime.
Thank you very much.
You and Vanessa Williams.
I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, well, thanks very much, Herbie Hancock. We'll be right back. Stay with us after this break.